Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Let's Talk Morning Show with John and Dennis. I am John, and that is Dennis. And this morning, we're going to be answering all of your questions. And also, after 9 a.m., we'll be doing the giveaway if that's what you're here for. Plenty of giveaways, got some wheels set up. Let's see who's here so far. Good morning, Mr. Smelly Potato, channel bankroll member. Good morning, Mellow Fellow. And good morning, Dennis.
Yes, good morning, everyone. Good morning, John. Happy to be here again. Another beautiful Tuesday morning. Maybe not weather-wise, but excited to get in these questions. A lot of good ones, a lot of good lists. I think we're going to have to go over here.
I completely agree. We have plenty of lists, and actually, the first question I think we're going to get into, a little bit of a fun one, but since he's already here, Movie Dude 1988 asked a good question, and let's pop that one on the screen first.
You got it.
Oh, thank you.
Early bird gets the worm.
Yep. And the question is, why do you think the younger generation are so turned off by movies that are in black and white? Any tips on to get kids who are teenagers to get into black and white movies? This is a good question.
Yeah, and I kind of had my answer ready to go at first, and then I was talking to my wife about it, and she brought up a good point too. So I think there's a lot of reasons. I think what she brought up, and I didn't even think of, was you think about black and white movies, and they're usually all older classic films. And older classic films, they're very thought provoking. You have to pay attention. They're very detail oriented. You have to really, really want to watch it. And unfortunately, kids nowadays, teenagers and younger kids, they're used to the swipe culture of shorts, 15, 30 seconds. That's all. That's what their attention span is now. And if it's not explosions or laughs or farts, or it's got to get their attention immediately. So I feel like when it's a little bit more depth to a film, it's harder for kids to get into it. And that's what a lot of black and white is. That was her main point. I'm curious what you think of that.
That's a great theory, and I honestly completely agree with that. That's pretty much what it is. I also do think that it comes down to the lack of color. I really think people can't wrap their heads around it in a modern world, or they just automatically assume that it's old because it's in black and white. They don't realize that there's stylistic choices that are made because black and white films still come out to this very day. When color movies start coming around, like the most famous, they always say it's the first, but it's not the first. It's 1939's The Wizard of Oz. But
Yeah.
from that point on, anyone could have made a color film. It was probably more expensive. Good morning, David. By the way, I just saw that pop up. How you doing, buddy? Co-host of the Let's Talk More movie podcast with me. Just a little plug there. But yeah, I do think that that's a big reason too. I just think a lot of, because I when I was young and movies were in color, I would see movies in black and white and assume they're old, but I wasn't a fan of film. As you become a fan of film, I think you start to realize, you got to go back. They're in black and white. And I think it's an easier hurdle to clear. It's like the same thing with subtitles. Some people can't wrap their head around subtitles either.
Yeah, I think it's a very niche kind of it's a niche thing that you got to like. The other point that I was trying to think too, what I was originally thinking before she brought up that short attention span thing, which again I totally agree with. The other point I was thinking was as we get farther and farther away from something, I think it's harder and harder, and the way that I can put it is like how many of us watch silent films nowadays? Like we go back and rewatch a silent film.
I've only probably watched a handful of silent films in my entire life because of that reason. You don't really go back. The more silent films I'll watch are like if they're like designed like Flow from last year, like nowadays where it's like a choice to make it a silent film. But like you even said, like about the short attention span. I think that's a bigger problem than just black and white movies. I think that's getting people to watch movies in general. I don't think that that's why we can keep people going to the movies. I think that's a huge problem. I mean, people can't stop taking their phones out for an hour and a half movie. Our culture's just completely changed, and film in general is just not going to lean towards, when people want 15 to 30 seconds, like you said, at the most, an hour and a half movie where they're asking you to pay attention, invest your time into the characters and if you do that, you'll have the most rewarding experience. But if you don't, you might feel like the movie was boring and dull. And I feel like that's the problem we have nowadays.
Yeah, I mean, think about even what we're doing here. We're doing all these videos, the videos we do, like OG versus remake and all that kind of stuff. They're 25, 35-minute long film videos that we're doing. We do these lives that are an hour and a half. And, there's some kids out there who will literally put a 15-second clip of them biting into a spicy potato chip and then gagging, drinking a gallon of milk, saying goodbye. They'll get 1.5 million people to watch them eating a chip for 15 seconds because that's just what it is. Like, what the movie, I guess, like fan base they're not the people who that stuff's funny and all that stuff, but our attention spans are not as affected. We like to go in and pay attention to a film. Like if I'm watching a movie, I don't even look at my phone. Like it's sometimes I'll forget it's you. I'll the movie ends and I'll go to reach for it, be like, oh crap, I left it in the bedroom, or like because I want to watch the movie. But I think it's an attention span thing primarily. It's just there's not enough to bring people like kids into a black and white, like you said too. It's lack of color. That's why kids love the Marvel movies. They're bright, they're colorful, it's constant pew 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 fight scenes, crazy flying, all that kind of nonsense going on. Kids love that because it's just an absolute assault on your senses start to finish. Black and white, you have to really earn it. You have to want to watch it and have to like the film and be interested in character development. And unfortunately, just how modern times are now, I don't, kids just don't have, like, really have the want, desire, or the attention to really sit and want to get invested in a film.
Yeah, no, unfortunately, we grew up in probably the last generation of people that had their childhood without cell phones. We had cell phones like at the tail end of our childhood, but
Mm.
we spent like the first, I want to say, like 10, 12 years without cell phones or even really the internet. Like the internet was there, but it's not like how it is now, where we had limited options of what we could use for entertainment. Like now, if you don't want to watch movies, like you don't have to. Like video games kind of moved up to number one, but now it's just like interacting on social media. It's a whole different thing. Like, when we were growing up, we would watch movies just because like we had nothing else to do. Like if you were homesick, you'd watch a movie like that was just on TNT with commercials, and that was fine. And that's also why we rewatch so many movies. People probably don't rewatch that many movies now because you're backed up on so many other things. You watch it one and done and forget about it. They probably don't study like the movies like we do.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, even like the video game thing, it's think about all
Yeah.
the times when we were playing. Nowadays, it's like you just play online. You turn on your console, turn on your PC, boom, you're playing with a million different people. We used to be like, hey, you want to hang out? We'll have a sleepover. We'll play Halo all night long, split screen, four ways. Like that's how you played with your friends. They had to come to your house and play on the same TV, and like that's all you could do. Same thing, like you got done playing. It was like, all right, guys, we're getting a little tired. What do you want to do? Let's throw a movie on. What movie do like, let's see what DVDs we have or what VHSs we have. That's what you did. Now it's just not like that. So I think as like the younger generation, they were born with all this. Like you said, we didn't even have cell phones until we were 12, 13 years old. And even those cell phones, you couldn't even, I remember you could text. It was strictly for phone calls and you had like 100 minutes. And if you went over, God forbid, your parents lost their minds because that bill was going to be high. So
Yeah.
it just doesn't really, I think that's, unless your kid is like a super duper fan favorite, like, or a fan of film, I don't think they're going to really, like, they're just not going to want to get into black and white.
No, first you got to clear the hurdle of it being a film in general. Like, try and build up a film fan. Then, okay, now you got to try and lean them into black and white films. It's such a harder sell. I mean, I hear people like say, like, when a movie oh, isn't that a really old movie? And it's like, it was only in the 90s, so it's not that old. Like, but then you're like, I guess 2000s, 25 years ago. And David mentioned a good point. That was the selling point of The Wizard of Oz, was the color. And I mean, that is one of the most magical moments in film, is it not? When they open the door from, like, it's not even black and white. It's like, a different kind of color. Until David said he didn't even have a cell phone until he was in his 20s. Yeah. I mean,
it happens.
David's 10 years older than me, so yeah, I guess that does kind of add up. I mean, my first cell phone, like you said, just texted and everything. But just to finish up this question, because it is a good one. Yeah, I do think that it's going to be a really hard hurdle to clear. I think you got to get them into into movies first, make them cinephiles, and then you can try and get them into older black and white films. Like, because there's just so many classics, like The Third Man that Mellow Fellow mentioned, and Casablanca, which I still think are just, regardless of the Citizen Kane, doesn't matter when they came out, they're all timers.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's the perfect method. You got to get them into movies first. However you do that, if it's getting them into Marvel first, or going from Marvel to maybe, like, I think if they like superhero stuff, maybe you could try to get them into Star Wars, and then if you get them into the older Star Wars stuff, because that'll start to get you back into older film where it's not as flashy because it's all practical and everything, and then you can kind of ease them into that. But it's definitely going to be a slow journey that you're on.
Yeah, you have to pretty much like fighting against the universe at that point, because they're going to go to school and they're going to be talking with their friends. They're going to get into what they're into. Here's a good question though, real quick. Good morning, guys. What did you think of Night of Champions? Did you check out Night of Champions?
I did watch it. I thought it was actually pretty good. A few matches were real highlights. I really liked Rhea, Raquel. Actually, that street fight thought was really good. There are a couple. I didn't. I hate to say it, but the Cena Punk stuff, I was like, it's a good match, but I'm kind of Seth Rollins coming out, and I feel like it just felt like that whole segment to end the show felt like every other Raw we've had.
Yeah, that was kind of how I felt. I mean, like they literally, I mean, I guess this is the only way that they kind of write themselves into a corner is to have John Cena win and like keep them both like looking like champions. It did have some great moments. The Charles Robinson thing with the ref is hysterical. Like him getting blasted by Cena, perfect camera angle for that.
Yeah, that was a highlight. When he hit him, I actually was like, "Oh God!" Like it looked brutal. That was good. And the rest of the card I thought was good too. I mean, there were some really good matches. I thought Cody J was really good. No, sorry, Cody Orton. Really good stuff there. Even the Asuka, the women's Queen of the Ring. So I almost said women's King of the Ring. Queen of the Ring. That match was pretty good too. It felt like one of the first Saudi shows that wasn't a glorified house show, but there were definitely a few things. Like I said, the main event primarily felt like how every single Monday Night Raw since like WrestleMania has ended. So that was the only kind of downfall to me.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. I still feel like they don't have enough focus like with that group. That group has felt the exact same since WrestleMania, except they just keep adding members. They don't have like a name or anything like that, like officially yet. And it's like, that's hurting them. It just still feels like it's something that Seth Rollins has done before. Like, like he did this years ago with J&J Security. So it's nothing really new.
Yeah. And you know what? Actually, too, I just remembered it really upset me was the Jacob Fatu stuff.
That because it's like, what are they just going to have the entire island of Samoa be with Solo at some point and then eventually leave?
Yeah, like it's just again, I was explaining it to Brittany and I was like, it's just like a rehash. It's like, the first movie is usually the best, and that was Roman and the Usos. And then the sequel, you could argue, was like Solo and with Jacob Fatu, which was pretty good, not as good. And now we're on like the third iteration, which is like nobody cares anymore. All the actors are different, completely different director. I just don't care anymore. Like, let's stop making these movies.
I agree. It's ridiculous at this point.
Yeah.
But let's move on to the next question, which is our headliner actually for today because it's on the front there. Question for next week's Tuesday show: what are your favorite movies to watch on the 4th of July? So I wrote top 10 in the thumbnail, but we didn't do 10, right? We did a few each.
Yeah, I only picked 3 because there's a lot. I mean, that you could pick depending on what you're going for. We had a discussion yesterday that was upsetting.
Yeah, David, you're going to want to hear this, which is funny. This is an Independence Day discussion, and Mellow Fellow and Shamrock Balls are both non-American, so they don't even care about Independence Day here.
Are you okay with me telling him?
You could tell David. Yes, David. Cover. I'm sorry.
David, listen, I asked him what he put here. He said, I think we're going to have a lot of similar lists. And I said, well, it's 4th of July. There's only one correct answer for the best 4th of July movie. And he said, oh, what's that? And I said, excuse me, it's Jaws. And he said, oh, that didn't even make my list. I always forget about Jaws. So you might want to rethink working with this guy.
Just didn't cross my right to the forefront of my mind. The first 2 are the ones that are in the thumbnail. I was like, oh yeah, of course, Independence Day. It's named Independence Day and Born on the 4th of July, like the 2 most obvious. And then you're like, I'm sitting there and then you're like, oh yeah, obviously Jaws. And I was like, is it that obvious? Because it didn't cross my mind. Movie takes place literally leading up to Independence Day, the most important holiday for Amity Island.
Yeah, and you didn't even put it on the list. My God! But we can get to that one. But what else? I only have 3 on my list. So if you want to discuss a few on yours.
Yeah, I had a couple extras. I consider like this one might not be that obvious because it's not an Independence Day movie. It's completely a summer movie, but it has a cool 4th of July scene, and that's The Sandlot.
Oh yeah, I put that on here too.
Oh, did you? I didn't think you'd put that on there.
Yep, I did. Yeah, it's just one of those like
I'm disgusted.
The second he said it, I was like, "Are you gonna tell David, or am I gonna have to?"
Ugh. David's gonna punch a hole in his wall today.
Yeah. But yeah, I did have Sandlot because, like you said, it's not necessarily like the Fourth of July. It's got the scene for Fourth of July in it, but I feel like that's kind of with this list. Like, if it has a really really great summertime vibe to it as a whole, I would include it in this because Fourth of July more than anything is like it's a summer holiday. I know it's like Independence Day and everything, but for most people, it's just you're out there, beautiful sunny day at the beach, at someone's house, you pool party, barbecuing, the whole nine yards. So I think The Sandlot fits that perfectly.
Yeah, I agree. Like it's just that's exactly what it is. We kind of like most of our holidays here, we end up surrounding them with like food and stuff like that. Anyway, it's a good excuse to gather in the summertime for 4th of July, Memorial Day. It's a good excuse to get together and barbecue. And I think they captured that in The Sandlot. That scene is great. The carnival. It all feels like something you would do on the 4th of July. I don't know anymore, but back in the day, especially. You're not watching Joe. It's the 4th of July.
I
Of
like it. I
course.
heard it too.
Yeah. That guy. What a piece of shit. Got his comeuppance though.
Yeah, he sure did.
Did you have Top Gun on your list?
I know. So this is one that I didn't put, but I didn't put some of these because they're just very, obviously Fourth of July, and I didn't know if it was top 10 or not, so I picked three separate. But Top Gun, I mean, really almost can't get any more American than that.
No, that and Maverick. And it's funny, I saw F1, the new movie starring Brad Pitt, and it's
Mm.
directed by Joseph Kosinski, who directed Top Gun Maverick. And I don't know if Days of Thunder is basically just Top Gun on wheels. Clearly, they went into this as F1 is just going to be Top Gun Maverick on wheels because it's like the same exact movie.
All
But
right,
it works though.
I was gonna say if the formula works, right?
Yeah, Formula One.
Yeah, as long as you don't have Hulk Hogan involved.
No, I know. Like, well, what's more American than Hulk Hogan, really?
That's true. Yeah.
I mean, what's
Um,
his beer called?
Real American beer.
Right?
Never tried it. Still to this day.
It's hard to find. You can find Broken Skull beer everywhere, but you can't find that one. I don't know why.
Well, I mean, Stone Cold's badass. That's why.
I mean, Stone Cold is still one of the best ever.
So one of the ones I put on here again, it's not Fourth of July related, but more on like the America kind of thing is Miracle, the
Oh, that's a
hockey
good
movie.
one.
Just feel like again, I talk about my love for Kurt Russell all the time. I will till the day I die. I love that man. And it's just a very like patriotic movie. And it has nothing to do really with, because it's about the Olympics and everything, but I think it just fits with the theme of the 4th of July.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. I mean, that is a very prideful kind of film. It makes you feel proud to be an American while you're watching that one.
Yeah.
I picked an obvious one, obviously, because it's makes you very proud to be a human. I mean, it's weird that this one isn't exactly. It's called Independence Day, but it's not really a 4th of July, like in the spirit of like what the 4th of July is. We kind of just rearranged it now to be all about like, hey, this is also the day that we discovered America and we defeated the aliens.
Yeah, I mean, again, it literally is called Independence Day. It is weird that it's not, it's called Independence Day and isn't 4th of July, but another one that easy pick because, I mean, it's really just about um, it's just about getting together, camaraderie, like coming together to make sure that we're safe. Like that's really, it's like let's defeat these aliens and go home and punch an alien in the face, smoke a cigar on a spaceship.
Yeah, I know. I mean, honestly, it's very American for that. It feels very I just rewatched this movie and it does just feel very like, rah rah while you're watching it. And like all the other countries like show up, but they're like all like in support of America being the leader. And
Yeah.
David's right. Like, yeah, I always wondered how it is watching an American film like that around one of our holidays. Like, this is very like, Christmas is a worldwide holiday, but 4th of July that's just very much American.
Yeah, I wonder how, I mean, he's saying that he doesn't mind it, he enjoys it. I don't know how it comes across. I guess it depends on your opinion. That's another whole nother hot button issue that I don't want to dive into, but I think more than anything, it's just one of those times where like you it's just about being proud of where you're from. And I feel like everyone has that moment, of being proud of where they're from, whether it's somewhere in Europe, somewhere in Asia, somewhere, wherever you're from in the world, you have that kind of sense of pride of where you're from. And that's really all the 4th of July is. I mean, there's plenty of other films that are historical. Like I mentioned to you yesterday, we were talking about it, The Patriot with
Oh yeah,
Mel Gibson and, rest in peace, the
Heath
Joker.
Ledger.
Yes, Heath Ledger. Um, Another great, just American film. But
Same director as Independence Day and
yes,
Godzilla in '98. The guy knew how to make patriotic films. I don't even think he's American.
I was gonna say, this guy loves it here.
Who is that?
Um,
I always forget his name, but yeah, I'm pretty sure that guy is not American.
that's funny. But then, yeah, my number one pick was Jaws for obvious reasons. I mean, it's been talked about a million times. You guys did your incredible series about it, talking about the film. By the way, loved every second of that. Good job on it. Um, but that's Jaws because it's not just 4th of July. It just encompasses the kind of like I feel like the essence of summer. Like I feel like summertime, even when you're an adult, when you're a kid, it's like, oh, school's out, it's freedom, we could do whatever we want and have fun. Like even as an adult, it's like there's this sense of like now we're gonna go to all these barbecues and we're gonna go to the beach and we're gonna go to these breweries and restaurants and the sun is out and it's warm and it's just like it's a sense of just freedom and enjoyment. And I think Jaws captures that on top of being just one of the best movies ever made, one of the best horror movies. Everything about the film in general is great, including just the overall like ambiance of it.
Yeah, no, it definitely does. And it does feel like very, I mean, how do you not watch that movie at the very least in the summer? I couldn't watch that movie in the winter. It just doesn't have that feel to it.
Yeah, like sitting on the couch in the middle of a gloomy, snowy December day, like, oh,
Yeah.
look at all these people swimming in the.
I'm gonna watch
Oh
Jaws.
no! Yeah, I'm gonna watch these beach people.
They still want the. I totally understand. We're still waiting for our independence. I'll get it political, but that's why I love your 4th of July, which is, if you know anything about Ireland, and David is more than happy to tell you about everything that goes on there because, he's a smart man, obviously from our Jaws episode, But, we kind of stole St. Patrick's Day from them and made it a very American holiday here.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's kind of what we do. Sorry about that.
Yeah. It's a good day. We made it an excuse to drink excessively.
I feel like that's the American way, right? It's just what's going on in the world right now that we can turn around and make an excuse to get drunk.
Well, we take everything to excess. I mean, like, just like when it comes to eating, look at how some of our best foods are like when it comes to overeating and very nice and greasy, which I fully embrace.
Oh, me too. I've seen these videos. This is off topic, but I've seen these videos online, and it's like these two British guys who come to America and try American food, and they try like Philly cheesesteaks and Texas barbecue and like all the greasy, fatty, meaty stuff that we eat. And they always say that they're like, this is some of the best stuff I've ever eaten. But they do always say like, I could feel my arteries closing right now.
There's a reason why there's a lot of obesity in America and people dying of heart attacks at 45. But you know what? It's your decision, and that's what makes America beautiful. No one's going to stop you from pulling in the McDonald's on the ride home. It's just, you got to think twice.
Oh god, yeah. But that was everything I had for 4th of July. Just those. I had Sandlot, Miracle, and Jaws. Like you said, Independence Day. Mentioned The Patriot before. All those films I feel like are just. Top Gun, another one you mentioned, was great. I just feel like anything that I think it could go either way. If it celebrates like America's independence or like coming together for that, or if it's one of those it's just summertime vibe films, it definitely fits with the 4th of July.
Yeah, definitely. This is funny. The Irish helped build America, but the one you guys really talked is Halloween, which originated in Ireland. I did not know that, although Halloween 3 made me know that a little bit more. That makes sense. What's his name, the Irish guy in Halloween 3?
It's your favorite Halloween film, so that's on you, buddy.
It is the best one. I can't remember. It's a very Irish name, though. The guy, the head of the company, Silver Shamrock's the name of the company.
Yeah, well, I mean, for God's sake.
It's a masterpiece. You should watch that right now.
Yeah, I'll definitely get right on that. Oh
so all the other one that I had was Born on the 4th of July, which I don't know if you ever seen that. Is That's It, Dana Allery.
There you go.
Very Irish, like I said. I mean, hey, my half my blood comes from Ireland, not directly, obviously, because my dad was born here, but like originated. My last name's Keefe.
Yeah. Which was it at one point? Were you one of the were you O'Keefe, but at Ellis Island they chopped your O off?
Yeah, my great grandfather was the one who came into Ellis Island, and they didn't want to be discriminated, so yeah, they just made it Keefe and dropped the O. But people still call me O'Keefe, like to this very day. Like the other day, somebody was trying to like, I can't find you in the system at work. I was like, well, you could start with taking the O off because my name's Keefe, like, and I wrote that. You added the O.
Oh, that's funny. They thought you forgot.
Yeah, they thought I forgot. Like I must have forgot my own last name.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah, no, but that's it's ridiculous. Yeah, no, the only one's Born on the 4th of July. Oliver Stone directed that. Tom Cruise, the guy was actually born on, and what's funny is it takes place on Long Island. This true story, guy from Long Island. And I think the town he says in the movie is like, I want to go home to like Mineola or something. I'm like, you just never hear that.
No, you never do. It's always so funny. Like there are even some TV series and stuff where they shoot on Long Island or they'll mention being here, but it's always like way out in Nassau and in like super affluent areas. It's never like, oh, I'm going into,
Oh, you know what got me? The
What?
fact that, we live on Long Island. The town's called Lake Ronkonkoma. We never say Lake Ronkonkoma. We just say Ronkonkoma. But because these people clearly aren't from Long Island, I mean, it's Tom Cruise. They always keep saying Lake Ronkonkoma. I'm like, just drop the lake and you'll make me believe you're from Long Island a little bit more.
It's that kind of stuff, dude. I'm surprised they even say Ronkonkoma because that's one that's like, I don't know. You see things online all the time that people are like, they show names of towns on Long Island and like pronounce this, and they're like, I don't even know what to. I can't. I don't even know where to begin. Like Hauppauge, and the people never know how to say, and it's funny. So to actually get to see Long Island like towns being mentioned in film is pretty cool.
Yeah, I think you'd appreciate it just for that. It's funny just hearing Tom Cruise say it because Tom Cruise just says everything, and like when he's trying to be a dad, it always just feels a little unnatural. And like him saying these, he's clearly like an actor saying these towns. You've never fucking been to Mineola or Ronkonkoma.
Yeah.
But only like people like us who are from Long Island are even gonna care.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair.
Right. So you want to do one of the big ones?
Let's do it.
All right. Kevin Kruger wrote, "Who are the top 10 greatest horror directors of all time?" And I made a list myself.
As did I. I have 10. I will start at number 10 if you want to rock it that way.
I think that's a good way to go about. This was actually a hard list to make and rank. So, forgive me if for people over might get in the comments being like, how could I put this one above another one? Which I understand, but I had to go with my heart a little.
Yeah, I think as we always do, preface it with this is personal opinion. We are not the experts. So some of these directors, it's like they did one film that was like out of this world, and I was like, yep, that's the guy. Some of them were involved in other films. So my number 10, though, to start this list, is a very divisive one that we've mentioned a few times. I feel like you mentioned people either love him or they hate him. That is Rob Zombie.
Yeah, it didn't make my list, so I'm glad he made yours, though, because we should discuss him.
Yeah, I feel like one of the things that people don't like is his style. Every director, I feel like you could say every single director, whether it's horror, comedy, romance, thriller, drama, no matter what, whoever it is, they have a style.
Yeah.
You can tell when you're watching a Tarantino film. Like even if you didn't know it was his, you watch it and you're like, this kind of feels like he did it. I feel like Rob Zombie has a style and it's all his own. And that's why he's divisive, because it is a very odd style, right?
Yeah, it always has like that backwoods kind of Texas Chainsaw feel to like all of his movies. They're kind of like chopped together. They look gritty. They look dirty. All the characters, he wants them to almost be like the lowest level of society. Like that's one thing that always kind of like bothered me about Halloween, his remake, is that, the characters are like just pure white trash. But like that's kind of like what he's trying to show you is how horrible these people are. And that's why Michael became the way he was, because of how he was raised. I get that. It's just that like, sometimes you spend so much time with like these very unlikable people. It's hard for me to like, go back and rewatch the movie. It disgusts me, which is his point. I get like, that's the point. It's just like that vision doesn't mesh with me.
Yeah. And I think that's why he's divisive. But if you look at the list of films he's made, I mean, House of a Thousand Corpses, Devil's Rejects, Three from Hell, 31, I even like the Halloweens he made. Not that they're better than any of the originals, but I do like his Halloween remakes. The only one that really was a miss for me was Lords of Salem. And I don't even talk about, he made the Munsters, right?
Yeah, I remember that was one of the first reviews I did here on the channel, and that basically just took everybody that he makes his movies with. His wife, Richard Brake, who I love. Richard Brake. I love what Rob Zombie did for his career because I think that guy's always really underrated, especially in 31. But I felt like that was them trying to like play around in a comedy, and it went the opposite of what he always does. Like instead of like being lack of color, he turned up the saturation like crazy and tried to make this very colorful comedy in his vision, and I just didn't like it. I thought it was really bad. It has moments, but I thought it was really bad.
Yeah, did not like that at all. It's just one of those that falls off. But if you look at the other list that I just said, really it's 31 and then the whole Firefly family story. I think those films alone put him up here. They're all really good. And then like I said, even the Halloween remakes, I like them. I know that they're very divisive. I know some people really can't get into it because he like humanizes Michael too much and all that. But I think his outlook on it was really good. So that's why I put him here. Again, number 10, but still makes my list just for those films. I think if you like his style, and that's another reason too, people who do like his style of filmmaking, they love his movies. So I
Yeah,
think he just deserves that spot.
that's the big thing. Is like you said it. Like it's like an art towards vision. He cares about like what his movies look like. It's a Rob Zombie movie. He stays within his style. Like if you like, I don't know if you were into Wes Anderson, but he's just as like divisive, but in a different kind of way. It's like if you're not into how Wes Anderson's like Dollhouse looks and how the dialogue is delivered, you're never gonna like a Wes Anderson film. Like you can keep trying, but if you're not into that style, it's just never gonna mesh well with you. And I feel like that's kind of Rob Zombie's the same kind of director.
Yeah, 100% agree. I think it's divisive. That's all I can say. But I still think just with what he's built, he deserves that 10 spot.
I agree. My 10 spot, I don't know if he made your list, is Sam Raimi.
I do have him actually. He is number 9. So
Oh,
we can talk about him now.
perfect. Sam Raimi's one of those directors that he didn't just do horror, but like I feel like I feel like all of his best films are horror films.
I would agree with that. Yeah. Like you said, not exclusively horror, but it's weird when directors do that. Like they kind of hit their stride in a particular genre and then branch out and aren't really as good, but they still. I get it. I guess they don't want to be like typecast as a particular. Like I can only direct this, but I agree with you. I think his horror films are his best work.
Yeah, the first three Evil Dead films, and what else did he do? Drag Me to Hell, I think, is an underrated horror film over like the last like 15 years. I've always really enjoyed that. Even like when he doesn't do horror, like I just rewatched Spider-Man from 2002, and I forgot there's a sequence where like these people they get literally turned into bones, and I'm like, that's very Sam Raimi-ish.
Yeah, he's another one with his own style. But I think I agree with you. The reason I have him on the list is primarily the Evil Dead stuff because look at what that spawned into too. Like that turned into so much more than just the Evil Dead films he did. So that alone is the kind of like I think that's more his legacy than anything else. Obviously he did the Spider-Mans and all that stuff, but I think he's known as the Evil Dead director.
Yeah, I completely agree. That's definitely like I think that is his legacy. As much as the Spider-Man films are famous, I think like at the end of the day, they'll be most known for the guy who gave us the Evil Dead franchise.
Yeah, 100%.
So that was your 9, right?
That was yeah. So who's your 9?
So my 9 and my 8 are, they're great directors and they might be higher on other lists, but I just feel like they don't just like their movies aren't just strictly horror, but they have enough horror elements. And I have at number 9, David Lynch.
I actually don't have him on here.
Oh, okay. So the reason why I put him on because like his movies I feel like are more like they could be like psychological thrillers or psychological horror more than just like straightforward horror, even though there's a lot of horror imagery. So like I can't put him as far as like straight horror. That's why I have him so low, but he is one of my all-time favorite directors. I've always liked that, like see the way his movies are made, like how they confuse you intentionally and how you have to I like to decipher films. I like try and figure them out. I like to be challenged because maybe it's because I've seen so many movies now. Like when I see a movie and it's like just hitting the same exact 4 plot points that I've seen a million times, I'm bored to
Mhm.
tears. I think that's what burnt me out of superhero films so much. And I love them. Like I still love a lot of them, but I think I got so burnt out just because they're the same movie over and over. I'm like, all right, here's the big third act sequence of just big action for action's sake. And I'm like, but with David Lynch's movies, you're rewarded on rewatch because now you're trying to challenge yourself and figure out the fuck is this movie about. He basically gives you the puzzle pieces completely out of order and you have to put it together.
Yeah, which I definitely get. I definitely believe that, yeah, he's just a great director overall for sure. I think the reason I didn't put him on here is kind of what you said, where it's like I don't overly consider him horror. I mean, some of, like you could argue like Mulholland Drive, Eraserhead, those kind of things. Like while they're not straightforward horror, there are a lot of like there's disturbing imagery and plot points and story to development and things that happen to the characters are upsetting. So I could understand him being on here. I think the only reason I didn't put him outright on the list is that, like, again, it's not really straightforward horror necessarily.
No, and that's a fair reason. And I don't know if you know that the Barnes and Noble sale is going on, but I did pick up some stuff, Christian. I grabbed what did I grab? I grabbed Barry Lyndon on 4K, pre-ordered that. It comes out next week, and McBride and McPhee, or McPhee and McBride, the Western from the early 70s, directed by Robert Altman. I wanted to grab that because I'm trying to put together a Westerns list in August, top 10 Westerns on 4K. So I got to get them all to do that. So, while the sale's going on.
Nice. Yeah. How long is the sale for, actually?
Till July 27th. So you got plenty of time and you can
Oh,
get everything that's, been released and pre-ordered. Like you can pre-order everything that's coming out in July as well. Not in August, but in July.
well, I will, as soon as I sign off today, be doing a little shopping.
Yeah, no, this is the best time because Criterion's always very expensive.
Yeah.
So
So that was your number.
9, so we're up to your 8.
My 8 is a guy we've mentioned before, and I put him on here kind of because of everything he's done. Um, they're not necessarily my cup of tea, but I put James Wan.
Oh, almost made my list because of the amount that he has contributed to the horror genre.
Yeah, that's my thing because he kind of made the whole Conjuring and City, like that whole universe is arguably his. I mean, he kind of comes in, makes one, moves on to like I don't know how many of the sequels and everything he gets involved in, but he does The Conjuring, he does Malignant also. I feel like was a really good movie. And of course, like I said, all that the Insidious movies, the Conjuring movies, he kind of, I feel like that launched a lot of other projects off of him, so we have to give him his credit for that.
Yeah, that's the thing is he kind of comes in and does what you literally nailed it. He does exactly what you just said. He kind of comes in, starts the franchise, a lot like J.J. Abrams, but in horror. He comes in, starts the franchise, then he leaves. Like he starts the Conjuring, he does 1 and 2, doesn't finish the trilogy, basically gives the whole entire universe off, like to Universal, let them do their thing. Did it with Saw, did it with Insidious. And he did Malignant, and then he kind of just leaves. He produces, I think it's his company that does the Megan movies. He doesn't direct them, but I think he produces those. So he's a great choice because he's just somebody who's clearly loves horror, and I don't think he likes to get bogged down by franchises, but yet he just keeps creating them.
Yeah, it's almost like it seems like he comes in and has a really clear-cut idea for like 2 films, comes in, does them, and then as soon as the studio's like, "We love this, we want to keep going," he's like, "That's great, you guys can have it. I'm done with my vision. I did this stuff I wanted to do, so now here it's all yours. Do whatever you want, but I'm not involved." Like and I kind of respect that because I feel like there are some directors who would just sit there and be like, "Cool, I'll pump out 11 of these things, just keep making easy money for this." And it really seems more so that he's like, "No, I did what I had to do here. So if you think you can make it better, go for it, but I'm done."
Yeah, exactly. And which I respect that. I respect the guy who's like not just in it for the money, but in it for the art.
Yeah.
So my
So
number 8 might be a punt because I put him down here mainly because he doesn't. He's mostly a thriller director in my opinion. He is one of the greatest, and that is Alfred Hitchcock.
okay, yeah, that's a humongous punt.
Yeah, okay. I only put him down there strictly because of we'll talk about it when we get
Yeah,
there.
that's fine. That's fine.
Okay.
My number 7, right? We're up to my number 7 now.
Yep.
I did Eli Roth.
Okay, he didn't make my list, but he did make his best film for me personally with Thanksgiving.
Yeah, so that's the thing. He's got Thanksgiving, Cabin Fever, The Hostels, The Green Inferno, which is an homage to the
That's a good
Cannibal
one.
Holocaust that I keep telling you about. He's just involved in a lot of really, really good, and like you said, Thanksgiving, which I think was really just such a refreshing, like newer era slasher film. So really, he also did. Did you ever watch Knock Knock with Keanu
No,
Reeves?
no, I've heard of Knock Knock, but I never watched it. He did that? I
Very
didn't even
good.
know that.
I don't know that it is really a horror movie. It's probably more thriller, suspense, but really enjoyed that one also. Um, and I mean, shout out to him too. He did star in, not star, but he had a role in Inglorious Bastards.
Did oh yes, he did. I did know that. I did know he was in Inglorious Bastards. No, I mean I really like Eli Roth. He seems like he's a cool guy every time I've heard him in interviews, and clearly gets what he's going for. Um, Good morning, Steve. Thanks for making it to the show, buddy, all the way from LA. So it's pretty damn early there.
Damn, yeah. What time is it there?
That's 3 hours ahead of us, so it's 5:15 a.m.
Oh, well, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I was up at 5:15 here just because of my finger. It was throbbing in pain.
Well, what the hell's your problem?
I cut the circulation off like an idiot.
But
But
yeah,
back to
so
Eli, yeah, man, I love him. I just, I never really got really truly into his films. For me, it was like Thanksgiving is far and away the best for me, and it's clearly just because, like you said, we don't get modern slashes like that anymore. We get slashes, but not like that.
yeah, and I think that was a really good one. And he started off hot. I mean, I like Hostel. I don't love, that's one of those ones that like I think the concept and everything in the first one is really interesting and intense. But then like as you get into the second, the third, and it keeps going, you're like, okay, well, it's same exact thing rehashed, in the same exact way. So I think he's done a lot modern time, like in because I mean he started, not that he started, he was around a little bit earlier, but really 2000, I think Cabin Fever maybe was his first like big one in like '02.
Yep,
So
I
he's a
think that's exactly
2000s
it.
horror director, and got to give the new guys some credit.
I did like Cabin Fever. I kind of want to rewatch Cabin Fever. I think that I just, what's funny about that? That was one of the ones where I didn't watch a trailer, rented it, and it was nothing like I was expecting it to be. I
Hmm.
was expecting like a classic, almost Evil Deadish kind of film, and it was something very different than that, obviously.
Yeah.
Purely for the De Armas alone, for Ana de Armas alone. Well, that's fair. Ana de Armas is a beautiful woman, and that's one of the big reasons why I want to check out Ballerina.
Yeah, well, knock knock, she's in there, and things get intense. So highly recommend it.
All right, well, I'm sold. Keanu and De Armas, who both are actually reunited in Ballerina, so that's pretty funny too.
There you go.
My number 7 is Mike Flanagan. Is he on your list?
He is not. Let's chat.
So Mike Flanagan is probably most famous now for The Haunting of Hill House from Netflix, and then all the series that came after it. But he's also a film director. He did such, I think, is a classic horror film, Oculus, which is about the haunted mirror, which
Oh
sounds
yeah.
so silly in concept, but I love that movie. Stars Karen Gillian, who's just obviously most famous for Guardians of the Galaxy movies now. She's Nebula, but she's a great actress when she's asked to do other things, and I love her in that. He did the second Ouija movie, which is by
Hmm.
far the best one. He just had Life of Chuck come out. I'm trying to think what other horror. Did he do? He didn't do it. I'm trying to remember what other. Oh, Doctor Sleep. He did Doctor Sleep also.
Yeah.
So he has a style of like combining horror with like very like with drama, like sad drama, and I think he nails that, and that's why he's become quickly one of my favorite directors working today.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I guess I didn't go super modern times with it actually, but he would definitely, if I was going like current works, that's a really good point. I do like the Ouija, the Oculus movies. Doctor Sleep, I was not expecting to enjoy it, but did enjoy that film. He also did, at least I think, he did Hush.
Yes, he did do Hush, and that's his real life wife in that, and she's in all of his projects. And I think they
Oh
actually
no,
might
who's Rob
write him to
Zombie?
get, yeah, just like Rob Zombie, yeah, but she's a much better actress than Sherry Moon Zombie. No offense, and yeah, but she's always in all of his projects, and she's usually really good.
Yeah, no, I actually should go back and rewatch some of those because I remember I haven't seen Hush in a long time. Really like that one. And like I said too, Doctor Sleep was one that surprised me because I feel like I heard a lot of mixed things about it before I saw it. People were very upset about it. They didn't think it wasn't what they thought it was going to be. But I kind of went in just open minded, like, well, I'm just going to treat this like I don't know what it is, and I did. I liked it. I think he did a good job.
I did. If Stanley Kubrick's vision is The Shining, then I feel like Doctor Sleep is definitely a Mike Flanagan vision, and I think it works. People probably were expecting The Shining, and I appreciate Mike Flanagan for not trying to make a sequel to The Shining, but making his own thing.
Yeah.
I wasn't impressed. Oh, see, David wasn't impressed, but I enjoyed that. I think in the world, me and David don't always agree. That's the way the world goes.
Yeah. Well, your friendship's on the rocks after that Jaws comment, so be careful.
I know. Well, you know what? He could destroy his house, and he's working on his house right now, so he's got all the tools out. He can get his anger out on it and fix it all right up.
So actually, speaking of modern, I did put one number 6 here. I put Jordan Peele.
Okay, he didn't make my list. I love him, but I have another. I thought you were going to say another one of the modern directors who's on my list, but okay, that's a good call.
I just feel like he really hit his stride. Um, and not that he doesn't miss, because obviously some of his films I'm not like a super huge fan of, but I know it's weird that Get Out is like it feels like a very divisive film. I feel like some people hate Get Out, some people love Get Out. I thought Get Out was really good, very interesting. I thought Nope was really interesting.
Thought the Terminator was terrible. Now he's just taking shots.
Yeah. Um, but I think Us was really good. I very much enjoyed Us.
I love us.
So I think he's kind of coming into his own still right now. He's releasing films every I mean, 2, 3 years. And they're all always at the very least they're all watchable. Like they might not be the best things ever, but they're very interesting. And he's almost like to me the new like M. Night Shyamalan, where his films always have some sort of twist, or some sort of deeper meaning. It's not just like you were mentioning it before, like how boring like superhero movies, because it's very just like formulaic. Hit point A, B, and C, roll credits. His films always have something else going on that kind of keeps you guessing throughout. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why his films are all thought provoking. And then, of course, Us has like two big twists at the end. I think Us is his best film so far. Nope, definitely has a lot to analyze while you're watching that film for sure. And that's why I really like going back to Nope for that exact reason, because it's all kind of like that's my top 10. Yeah, I know. Yeah, you got to keep going back and like rewatching his films. And like Nope, it's a perfect summer blockbuster. That was like him paying homage to like Spielberg's Aliens movies, and you kind of get that while you're watching it, but you also like also just talking about film in general. There's layers to his movies.
Yeah, and that's why I put him so high on here. I know there's probably some older guys, but I think he's very thought provoking in his films, and I like that. Like you said, listen, there's nothing wrong with the formulaic stuff. I still love to go back and watch Friday 13th and all the Halloweens and all those kind of 80s classic slasher films and everything. Love those. There's a time and place, but he's very good at the thought provoking, keep you guessing kind of film.
Exactly. Yeah, he's a good director in my opinion. I love him. So at number 6 for me, I have a tie between George A. Romero and Dario Argento. I feel like they're very connected to each other, and I just want to I think that they both deserve love, even though I'm not like the biggest fans of all their films. I just felt like as far as the greatest horror directors go, they're very important.
I would agree. So I didn't put Argento, but I have Romero in my 5 spot.
Oh, perfect.
So we can, if you want to talk Argento first, and then we can talk Romero.
Yeah,
Both
so
at the same time.
yes, Dario Argento, he's very much known for the Giallo horror films, which are the Italian horror films, which I enjoy. I have to watch more of them. I can't say I'm like an expert on that subgenre of horror. I've liked everything that I have seen, but he's just so beloved for he's basically the godfather of Giallo that you got to pay respect. And to dive into George A. Romero, like Dario Argento did a cut of Dawn of the Dead, his version, with the soundtrack from Goblin, and it's a different cut of the film, and I think it actually really does work, but it just shows how they had a similar vision when it comes to things.
Yeah, the only Argento film that I've seen is actually Suspiria.
Mm.
which I did enjoy, and I definitely agree with you. And I've read up on things about him since then, and like I know more films by him, but that's the only one I've seen. But based on that film alone, I do agree he's up there in the top. And then with Romero, same. I mean, we wouldn't do without him doing all of his Living Dead stuff. Do we have the 28 Days Later? Do we have the Walking Deads? The Fear of the Walking Dead? Do we have all of that stuff without him doing what he did first?
Yeah, exactly. And he's like the godfather of zombie films for a reason. And yeah, and he was always trying to push it, have social commentary in his films too. So he's just a very important director. And I always, nice to see a Northeast guy. Like he stayed up here in Pittsburgh, not too far from us. So that's always pretty cool.
Yeah, no, I agree. I liked him. So that was what your tie for
6. So we're up to George Romero was your 5, right?
yes.
So my 5's David Cronenberg.
Oh, good one. Did not put him on here.
Yeah, David Cronenberg is the king of body horror.
Yeah.
Not everybody loves body horror, and I think that's why David Cronenberg never really gets put on the Mount Rushmore of things, because he very much stays like within his lane. Every once in a while, he'll come out and do like the Dead Zone, or he did what was it, Eastward Promises, and History of Violence. Like those are like kind of like outliers. For the most part, he'll do just straightforward body horror that his son clearly loves to do as well. Like The Fly is one of his best movies. I love Dead Ringers. I just think he's a great director, and I've always enjoyed his work.
He definitely, I think the only reason he's not on my list is personal taste. Like you said, I've seen Videodrome, Scanners, The Fly. I've seen all those films. And they're good. They're very, very well shot, very well directed and everything. I'm just not a super big body, like putting the cassette tape into people's bodies and that watching the flies, that transition to like, I don't know, some of it's really gross.
Yeah, and that's what I understand. Like, I'm not really a big body horror guy too, but he's got so much he's trying to say with the body horror. It's a weird combination. Like, yeah, I'm not somebody who's like sitting at the screen going, "Oh my god, I love watching this guy put a Betamax tape into a guy's chest." I just like that what he's trying to say with that. But yeah, it grosses. The Fly is gross.
Yeah, the Fly one is by far the grossest one. That transition is just like slimy and oh god, it's just. But again, it's shot really well. That's obviously what it's supposed to do, and it gets its point across. So I definitely understand why he's up here because, he same thing like I said with Ram Zombie. He's got his thing and he sticks to it. You either love it or you hate it. I think the same thing with David Cronenberg. I think it's love it, hate it. Like I guess I fall a little in between. I don't hate it and think it's garbage. I think he's very good at what he does and he makes really, really good movies. I just don't love to go watch them.
Hey, that's fair. I don't blame you. So that
So
was
that's my 4 now, right?
yes, sir.
So I put one that really is kind of up here. He's done a lot, but primarily for his what he's known for, and that's Tobe Hooper.
Yeah,
Toby Hooper.
that's your 4.
That would be my 4.
So that's my number 3.
Okay.
So we could
All
talk
right.
about him, and then we'll talk about my 4 after.
We'll talk about your 4 after.
Yeah. So Tobe Hooper, why don't you lead us off on that?
I mean, really just the merits of Texas Chainsaw alone, he belongs up here because it was so good. But I mean, he also made your favorite in the series.
Yeah, he did make Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, and he's also the on paper director of one of my favorite horror films ever, Poltergeist.
Yes, which is another reason that I did put him on here because that film, I mean, those, if you just take Texas and Poltergeist, those are two of the most iconic horror movies of all time. So to be heavily involved in those and direct it, like, it's, he belongs this high in my, I guess you have him higher because of that.
Yeah, the Poltergeist thing, and I also like Funhouse a lot, which is really good, different kind of movie. And then Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. Got to pay respect for making the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Like we said, Rolling Stone put that at like the #1 horror film ever. So, he also made other movies like Life Force, and I think he did the original Stand. So, he's done a lot.
He has done a lot and a lot. Some of it, like Funhouse, I feel like if you're into film, you know it and you've seen it and like it. I've seen it and like it too. But at the very, like a lot of these guys at the top now, they've done things that are just so iconic. Even if it's one film, it's a legendary, completely iconic film that everybody, whether you're a cinephile or not, you know these movies.
Yeah, David, I meant to say Salem's Lot. I said The Stand. That's what I was thinking of. Salem's Lot. I don't think he even did The Stand. So that was what I meant. I was trying to remember Salem's Lot. He did the original one of those. Yeah, he's just got his fingerprints. Like, although that's why I have him at like in the top three. I think that like what just one of the most iconic horror directors of all time when it comes to like, you might not realize how much classic stuff he's directed, but he's always been there.
Yeah, and he only misses out in the top. He's four for me. He just misses out on the top three on personal taste alone, I guess. My top three are all directors that I go back to all the time.
Mick Garris, yes. Yeah, I fucked up on that. I was completely wrong. Yeah, but he would still be on your Mount Rushmore then. And my number 4 to circle back is my modern horror director. I think that's just great. Is Robert Eggers.
Oh yeah, no, I did not put him on here.
Yeah, I mean, I guess like the argument against him is like he's only really, I guess, made 2 straightforward horror films in The Witch, which I think is one of the best horror films recently, and then last year's Nosferatu, which ironically I don't really love. So, but I just think that he knows great production design, and that's why I love The Lighthouse. Like that's like more of a psychological thriller than a horror, but I'm a huge fan of that movie. I've enjoyed it every time I've watched it. I always go back to it. And I didn't really like The Northman either, but I still think that this guy has a vision. He's even said he's not going to stray from making these kinds of movies, these period piece horror movies. And I love that. I like the commitment to it. Yeah, I'll keep trying, even if like I watched Nosferatu twice, and both times I was like, that's just really boring.
Yeah, I got to be honest. I still haven't even finished it because it's like 7 years long and it's just slow. So I haven't. But I will agree with you. The Witch, one of the best horror movies I've seen in the last few. Like it was when it came out. I saw it in theaters actually. One of the last horror movies I've seen in theaters, and I remember I love that film. It's very good. I've never seen Northman. I have, like I said, Nosferatu bored me to tears. You made me watch Lighthouse. I have to watch it again because it freaked me out. It was all over the place.
That's why I like it. I told you I like those movies where you're not 100% sure of what's going on, and they're purposely trying to confuse you. Like Willem Dafoe's like purposely fucking with Robert Pattinson. Like, what do you mean? That was 2 weeks ago. And he's like, what? And like that, and we're confused. Like, how long has it been?
Yeah. So in that sense, it almost is a horror movie because you are kind of like scared the whole time. It's just terror. You don't know what is going on, what's real, what's fake. It's insane. So I will give you those two films. Definitely really good.
Yeah, I get like I don't know if I'd recommend The Northman. You might like The Northman because of like the setting and everything. If you're into those kind of like period pieces when it comes to like Viking era kind of stuff, cool stuff. Got some horror imagery in there. It's just like I bought the 4K and I swear to God I still haven't watched it. And I don't know why I keep holding on to
it. All right, good to know.
It's breaking one of my cardinal rules of like if I'm never gonna rewatch this, why do I keep it?
Yeah. Damn.
So I guess we'll go to we did my 3, right? So now we're up to your number 2 or 3? 3.
My number 3.
Yep.
Is the punt from before, Alfred Hitchcock.
Oh, way higher than me, yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, on Psycho alone, because that, I mean, arguably everyone says spawned what horror became. But to be fair, I mean, we just talked about it. I think even Rear Window has some thriller, not horror elements, but they're thriller suspense kind of movies. Vertigo has some suspense kind of stuff in it, but really Psycho alone, to me, The Birds also. I mean, The Birds does not get enough credit in my opinion. And really it's more so for the legacy that he left, in terms of horror. He always pushed the envelope. He always got things, pushed it further and further along, to where now, the reason that we have the Halloweens and the, Fridays and Nightmares and Screams and all those films, I feel like is because he went ahead and did Psycho and The Birds and all this kind of horror stuff. I think he really pushed that envelope. So even if you're only counting those two films as genuine horror films of his, I think that's enough to put him up here.
Yeah, I think that's fair. That's why I had him on my list. And I didn't put him higher because I felt like he operated mostly in thrillers. But you got a good point with The Birds too, and obviously Psycho. People argue that like that's where the slasher genre got started. Like a bunch of different ways you can argue Peeping Tom, which is the same year. people argue Halloween, people argue Black Christmas, but this is like the guy who made Psycho in 1960, which is still one of the best horror films ever. Dennis, have you seen Frenzy? That's I think a late period Hitchcock film.
No, I have not.
Well, I think that's one you'll have to check out.
I
Dennis,
think I'll have to edit.
me and Dennis were talking yesterday, David, about Dennis kind of wanted to burn himself out on Alfred Hitchcock. I just keep banging him out. He took a little break.
Yeah, I went really hard one day and I watched Rear Window first, and all his films are like 2 hours long. So I watched Rear Window, then I jumped straight into Vertigo, and then I jumped straight into The Man Who Knew Too Much. And halfway through The Man That Knew Too Much, I was like, oh my God, I can't do this. I need a minute. Not that it was bad. It was just, going on 5 hours of just Hitchcock movies all in a row, and they're all the same actor, pretty much playing the same guy. So I was like, I just need a week off. Then I can go back to Hitchcock.
Which is fair. Frenzy's one I have to revisit as well, because that is considered like his last great classic, and it's early 70s.
Yeah, I'll have to give it a look. I'll put it on the list of things to watch.
Yeah, that's a good one. So fair enough to put them on your list. Mine, I guess we're up to my number 2 now.
Yes, sir.
I think our 1 and 2 are exactly the same. I'm just wondering where we ranked them. So my number 2 is Wes Craven.
Me too.
And then is your number 1 John Carpenter?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
All right, nailed it. So, all right,
I had a hunch.
Yeah, no, we finally, this might be a channel first. So yeah, Wes Craven. Let's start the discussion here.
Yeah, Wes Craven. I mean, it's hard. We've talked before. This guy has had a mega hit in the 1970s, a mega hit in the 1980s, a mega hit in the 1990s. You could argue he kept making movies in the 2000s. And when was the last one that he made? Scream 4, like 2011. So had a hit then. The guy just couldn't miss. He has a lot of hidden gems in there. Like, I'm a big fan. People might knock it, but I really love Shocker.
I was just gonna say he's got a lot of mainstream, but he's got a lot of like hidden away stuff. Like, I mean, starting with Last House on the Left and The Hills Have Eyes, really shocking stuff. Obviously he's known, created Freddy Krueger, Nightmare on Elm Street, huge. That's incredible. Like you said, Shocker, and then Scream. I mean, arguably he's most known modern time for the Scream franchise. But it's hard because, I mean, the Freddy, the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise is huge too. But like you said, he was going strong from the 70s until 2011. I mean, and the thing is, he always changed. You look at those first couple films, Last House on the Left and Hills Have Eyes. They're dirty, they're gritty, they're backwoodsy Rob Zombie type of films. Then he gets up to, like, Nightmare on Elm Street, and it's a guy killing people in their dreams, and it's all really magical and, just really, I don't know, a lot of crazy stuff with it. And then Scream makes fun of everything else. And like, he changed. It's almost like each decade he changed his mind and was like, this is what horror is. This is what horror is. Now I'm going to make fun of what horror is. And he always adapted in such a way that he stayed relevant, but not in a way that was like, pay attention to me, in a way that was like, oh, we know this is going to be awesome.
Oh, that's perfect. That's perfect way to describe it. He's a lot like, almost like Steven Spielberg, in the sense that he adapts with the times, because like you said, in the 70s movies are so dirty and gritty, and then the 80s, like, they feel like 80s movies. The 90s movies capture the 90s, and then if you go to like the 2000s, like the movies like Red Eye, like that's a perfect 2000s thriller. Like the way his camera techniques kind of adapt, he kind of like, whatever the new technology is, he's not afraid to like use it. He's like, he always seems to be able to adapt, and I think that's exactly why he was able to build such a huge legacy.
Yeah, it's just being willing to it. There's a lot of, I feel like, directors in history who, they have their style. Their style is their style. They don't shoot different. They never change what cameras they use, what angles they use, what tools they use. But he was not afraid. He was one that was like, all right, listen, times are changing. This is what film is now. But the thing is that all of his concepts were always unique and always interesting. That's what separates him, I think. Like, in an era where slasher was huge and, Halloween comes out and every studio is like, make me our own Michael. He's like, no, we're going to do a slasher, but it's going to be totally different. He's not going to be a big hulking weirdo. He's going to be hilarious. He's going to crack jokes. He's going to haunt people in their dreams. Totally spun off. Then, like, in the 90s, when everyone was still recycling all the same old tropes, he's like, I'm going to make a movie that literally makes fun of all this, and he makes Scream, and he makes fun of every single trope, but in a way that's so perfectly done. So I think his willingness to adapt and change with the times, that's what makes him so great.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more or say it better. He's absolutely one of the best, and just that's everything I agree with. Thank you, buddy. Yeah, Jurassic Park is one of mine. I've said it a million times. That's why I bought the hat. I just love the logo. And I just want to be clear, not a real park ranger at Jurassic Park.
Now you're retired. This is your retirement plan.
Exactly. And things just didn't work out there. You guys know. You guys know. We don't got to go into it. And then what about John Carpenter? Why do we have him at one?
um, I mean, so many reasons. I feel like it's kind of the same. I almost feel like you could swap these two depending on your personal taste between one and two. But to me, I mean, even his non-horror films like Assault on Precinct 13, Escape from New York, those are incredible. But he's got Halloween, he's got The Thing, he's got The Fog, Christine, They Live. I mean, the list goes on and on with him. Um, Also, he's really like underrated musically.
Yes. Oh my God, his scores are incredible. Like, and that's the thing. He would film his films. He'd shoot. He did all the work. He directed them. Then I'm pretty sure he was involved in the editing, and then he scores them. He scores them himself for the most part. Distinctly, he doesn't score the thing. Amira Morricone does that one, but it's iconic and kind of still feels like a John Carpenter score. It's like he almost adapted to John Carpenter.
Yeah, I would agree with that, and it fits. It still fits with with the film. I just think, well, I guess the argument could be made maybe Wes goes higher because he was going longer. He was involved in more, just slightly longer, not much longer, like a year maybe.
Well, John
Um,
Carpenter, as much as I love John Carpenter, he very much peaked in the 80s and had a couple of hidden gems in the 90s, and then he was done. And
yeah,
if you hear interviews with him, he's like very bitter a little bit, like towards the film industry. Not Bret Hart towards Goldberg bitter, but like he feels like all those movies were bad, like did bad in the 80s. Like none of them were really financial successes, weren't even critical successes. It wasn't until they were almost reevaluated in the 90s after he was almost done that, he kind of like started to get recognized. And now, like, for us to put him at one, but that's not how people felt in the late 80s about John Carpenter. They, almost looked at him as a failure, which is insane.
yeah, which it is crazy because I mean, Halloween spawns so much. It's just it's I don't know because isn't the story that Halloween comes out, and then I don't remember the studio, but one of the studios went to, I think they went to Sean Cunningham and were like, "Give us our Michael," and that's how he came up with Jason because Halloween was so successful. They literally made a ripoff of it.
Yeah. And it's like I guess they only saw him as that. And he went and did The Fog, then he did The Thing, he did They Live, like very genre heavy films. Like even like his most like prestigious film is Starman, but if you watch that, it's still a John Carpenter film. He still does the score. It's a drama, but it's still a space drama. So it's still very John Carpenter. And I don't think he ever wanted to stray from that. And I don't think like, critics just unfortunately in the 80s we talk about it, horror is just they shit on it.
Yeah, they always have and they always will. But yeah, I just feel like I don't know why I put him over Wes as we're talking about it. I think it's just
It's close,
his
right?
it's
I
so
think
close.
I think I originally I don't remember where it was, but I had Wes Anderson above John Carpenter, and then I think I was swayed into thinking John Carpenter was better. It's really close. It's almost a coin flip for these two.
I think it's almost like you have to make your decision. Wes Craven didn't necessarily have a boom. He was steady
Yeah.
throughout. Where John Carpenter had a boom, where he had three, four, five films early that are he art Halloween, The Fog,
Assault
The
on
Thing,
Precinct 13.
yeah, Assault on Precinct. Like he had four or five films right there in the beginning, like mid 70s to the 80s that boomed, and everyone knows them and they're iconic. But then that was it. He fizzled out. Where Wes Craven, like you said, almost like once a decade, just dropped a little nugget of greatness. And so I think that's kind of the difference. Like, would you argue the guy who was consistently great with one film every couple of years or every 5 to 10 years is number one, or is the guy who had a big boom of like 5 blockbuster films, and then that was it, number one.
I think you might be right. I think it might have to be Wes just because of how many times he reinvented the genre and himself to make these movies, just to have hits. Like John Carpenter movies are always John Carpenter movies, and Wes Craven, we've discussed it already. Like he changes how his movies look and feel, and they're still Wes Craven films, and then they do become all-time classics. Like I mean, A Nightmare on Elm Street and Scream, you can't sell short what they did in the 80s and 90s respectively. It's crazy. He
Yeah.
made westerns. Obviously, if the Guard Man and thriller, horror, sci-fi movie, yeah, John Carpenter. He's John Carpenter, and he's not going to change. And I think that he gets upset that people weren't into his style.
Yeah, which I mean happens. Like we say, everyone has their style. But I think maybe as we're discussing, I might put Wes at one. I mean, you think about it, like Last House on the Left and Hills Have Eyes inspire all the backwoods, the wrong turns, the hatchets, the all the Rob Zombie stuff. Like those films, you could argue that backwoodsy, gritty feel inspire future films like those. And then I would argue that Nightmare is really kind of the predecessor to Scream in the sense that like Freddy, it wasn't a straightforward slasher horror movie. It had those comedy elements and made Freddy stand out in a way that he wasn't just this big silent hulking killer. He was cracking jokes and interactive with the characters, which leads us to Scream. And Scream, I mean, any horror movie now, bodies, 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 all those kind of films that think they're so cool and so edgy, making jokes. That's because of Scream.
Yeah, exactly. That's where the meta horror. And he started to perfect it with a New Nightmare 2 years before, which is a very good film as well. He was always I mean, even just a couple other little ones to shout out, like The People Under the Stairs is good. Serpent and the Rainbow is good. You know, maybe not classics or revisitable, like obviously the classics he has, but he was always working, and it just like maybe not hit the hot. You know, I think you're right. Wes Craven should be one.
Yeah, I think all right. I'm glad. Let's make that swap. I think John Carpenter 2 for what he did. Wes Craven 1, just his longevity, his ability to adapt.
We came in here with the same 2 and 1, and we both agreed to swap them. That's
yeah.
We talked through it. Good therapy session. I just want to call out right here, Poppin' Fresh. Thank you so much, buddy. Good morning, John and Dennis. Awesome Jurassic Park hat. Where did you get it? I got it from Amazon. Just typed in Jurassic Park hat. I'm gonna see Jurassic World this Friday. Fingers crossed it's better than these. Yeah, the last 2 have been really bad. Have a good show, guys. Thank you so much, buddy, for the donation. Truly appreciate that. He donates all the time. Just a great guy. I'm hoping Jurassic. I'm going to see it probably Monday or Tuesday next week. See Rebirth. I'm hoping it's good. I'll always keep trying. I have to complete the tradition of seeing all the Jurassic Park movies in theaters, despite the fact that I don't think any of them have been as good or even close to as good as Jurassic Park.
Yeah, and I'll keep up my tradition of texting you the day you go and saying, "Hey, let me know how that is."
And then I'll text you back, be like, "Ah, it was shit."
Yeah, it's so disappointing, dude, because the first one is so good. The second one's even not too bad, but I feel like that's a classic situation like we were talking about before with wrestling, like how the sequels typically aren't any better. It really is like just a downward. It's the first one's so great, and everything since then has just gotten worse. There's some peaks, a few here and there that get a little better than the predecessor, but nothing comes close to the original.
No, they all have their moments, and that's like always the sad thing you could say. It's like you get like that like bright spot, but it doesn't like pick out the entire film. The entire film isn't great, and that's the hardest part about it. And the first one's such a classic. It's hard to live in the shadow of a classic because I mean, you love Jaws, but like everyone will argue that the Jaws sequels don't even come close to the original. But I think that people, if they watch them now, might actually enjoy them a little bit more because it's like they're living in the shadow. Same thing with Psycho. If you live in the shadow of like an all-time great, you know, sometimes you could have just stopped and that would have been fine. But, you know, these are movie studios. They see money. Like we're getting a Cliff Booth movie, like, which is fine. I'm excited about it, but I never thought that was needed.
Yeah. But I mean, that's the thing. That's where it gets tricky, right? Like, you have to balance the line between just making a straight cash grab and actually, you know, but that's the problem. They know we're going to go no matter what. They know that it can be just a dumpster fire of a film. And people are going to go because of the name. They know it's Jurassic Park. They know what it should be. And everyone is hopeful that they finally got it right this time. And they don't care if they did because you already bought the ticket.
It's literally like that Office quote when like Michael's going to get back in a relationship. It's like, all right, I'm ready to get hurt again. That's how it is when I walk into a Jurassic Park movie every time. It's like, all right, I'm ready to get hurt again.
Yeah,
That's why Jaws the
100%.
Revenge is misunderstood.
Don't you dare.
David will defend Jaws the Revenge till his dying breath.
It's misunderstood because a shark follows a family to the Bahamas.
You don't understand his tracking system. He's
So
really got.
ridiculous.
You know what they did to his ancestor? Like, he's really upset about that.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I should give them credit. They're smarter than we think, I guess.
Yep. That was a great question. That what I figured would be our big question of the day. Here's a good one from Mr. Smelly Potato. Do you think physical media sales for DVDs and Blu-rays are lower now than people buying used movies from secondhand stores? What's funny is like this is kind of becoming a new thing.
Well, yeah, I think it's. I would agree that that's a big contributor. I think it's probably pricing too. I mean, in all I mean, think about like video games. All I'm hearing lately about video games too is that the rumor is games are going to go up to almost $100 a game. So
Yeah.
and I mean, we talked about it before. Everyone who collects pretty much waits for these sales, Barnes and Noble sales, the Shout Factory sales, Amazon does sales. I think
Worse than Ellen Brody.
don't disrespect the first lady of Jaws.
First lady of Jaws.
But I think it is, as prices go up. I mean, there are some, like, especially new releases that they could get up to 50, 60 bucks. I mean, there's some box sets that are $300. I mean, as prices go up, people are going to start to be like, you know what, this is just not, I may as well get it used, like why drop $60 on this thing when I can get it secondhand for 35,
Yeah, and you're just really in it for the film, like that's one thing I've noticed, like what they're doing, like with the collectors, and I want to get like Frailty on 4K. It comes out in a few weeks, but the Lionsgate limited with shipping and tax, and you can only buy it from them. It was like $50, and I'm like, I don't know if I can justify this right now for one film. It's crazy to me. Like I could just go buy the Blu-ray, and like that was the thing, like with Kingdom of Heaven, like that got up to like $55, and it was just for one 4K on a steelbook, and then they didn't even have enough for the pre-orders. I'm like, no, I'm not buying your product. Like I got to draw a line in the sand somewhere. Like I mean, I get it, you get the upgrade to the visuals and audio, but at some point, like I'll wait either for a sale, and if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. Or like you said, like, or what Mr. Smelly Potato saying is like, you can buy them used now and, save yourself some money when everything costs so much.
Yeah, no, 100% agree. And I think that unfortunately, I think the cycle of that will be not that the studios learn and lower their prices. I think the studios will release less because they're not making as much money. And the cycle will then be you have to buy used until there is nothing used to buy, because the sad truth is that physical media is just not really, it feels very secondhand. And when it comes to the bigger, they just don't care about it. I mean, you talk about it in your reviews all the time. The artwork is usually not great. The quality, like the upgrade scans, are usually not great. If it comes from a major like production company, they just don't care about it. You need to go to these boutique labels, but then of course the boutique labels, they need to make money because this is all they do. So prices go up, and the cycle continues. And as prices get higher, people start to look for bargains, and that becomes secondhand stores.
Yeah, exactly. If it's everything, people are going to be what's it called? Oh wow, it's $16.99 for a steelbook in the UK. Yeah, the UK got a little better than us. The US actually has gotten kind of screwed where we only get the steelbook options as well, and they're giving you just steelbook options just because they know that most people will go out for that. That's kind of where the supply and demand comes in. Unfortunately, there's just, like you just said, there's not a huge demand for physical media. Unfortunately, it's very niche, and when you do that, they are going to raise the prices because they're going to get their money back some way, and it's going to be from the people who are actually buying it. It's the same thing with movie theaters. Like, look how expensive it is because they're going to take advantage of the people who still love it. When I was a kid, newspapers were like 50 cents until like 10 years ago, and then people stopped buying newspapers. And now newspapers are like $6 because, they're going to rip off the people who are still supporting them until eventually they just can't pay for it anymore.
Yeah, and that's sadly, like I said, how the cycle seems to be going, because instead of learning and saying, okay, we do have this loyal fan base here that, yeah, maybe it's not the, tens of millions of people who used to buy, we still have a pretty good amount of people who are interested and, they're shopping. Let's try to help them out. They have their margins they have to meet, and they're going to say, you know what? If we were selling 10 million a year at $15, now we're only selling 2 million a year. We're going to bump the price up to $40 to make up that loss. And eventually it's just going to price everybody out to the point, like I said, with video games. Grand Theft Auto 6 is coming out next year. I've heard nothing but rumors it's going to be $100 game
I
just
don't think
because of how big it is.
it's definitely going to be $100, 100%. 100% it's gonna be $100 at the very minimum. I mean, we get up to like with the special editions. I've wanted to buy WWE 2K25 for a long time, but like even the standard edition, $70. I'm like, and then the most expensive, the Bloodline edition, I think it's like 140. I'm like, I can't justify that for one game. I mean, and they're taking advantage. Like you get the packs if you get this, and it's like, back in the day, that just all used to be included on the one game.
Yeah, and the annoying thing is, like, you used to spend $30 on a game, and it wasn't a big deal. It was only $30. So when the new one came out next year, you were like, yeah, okay, it's $30. Now you're spending $100 knowing that another game is coming out next year.
Exactly, and that's insane. And half the time, they're not even finished.
No, they're completely like. I always think, like, imagine a movie did that. Like, oh, we're releasing the movie today. Come see it. You go in. It's like it's a 2 hour long movie. You get an hour and 20 minutes in, and they're like, "Thanks for coming, guys. We didn't finish the rest of this yet, but if you give us $15 on your way out, you'll get a ticket to see it when it is completed."
Exactly, which is insane again. So, all right. Let's see what other question. That's a great question, though. This is a good one, but I can't actually remember. What are your favorite movie you saw in theaters when you were 17? I'm trying to remember what movies I saw in theaters when I'm 17. I'm looking at a list right now.
Yeah, so I had to look up the actual year that I was 17 because I don't remember because I'm so old these days.
Is it
And
2011?
yeah, so I actually Cabin in the Woods, dude.
Oh, that's a good one. It's funny. I had something similar. And I've told you I'm not even a big zombie fan, but Zombieland was
Nice. That's another great one, dude.
yeah, fun
Awesome.
theater experience for Zombieland. That's why that one kind of stuck out. I was like, oh, I guess I was 17.
Yeah, no, and that was when I picked Cabin in the Woods because I remember going in blind, not knowing anything, expecting it to just be one of those like friends in the cabin, some psycho killer shows up, and as you know, you've seen it, that is not at all how it goes. It is totally different than that.
Oh, that's a perfect movie. Did we do a list of the top 10 movies to go in the blind a couple? That should have been on the list. That is
It
a great
should
one to
have.
go because that's a huge twist. And they literally are playing with your expectations from the very beginning.
Yeah, no, that's definitely one too. Yeah, I don't think it was on the list, but it should be added. Go into blind because it's awesome. Loved it.
Yeah, that's a great one. That's better than Zombieland. That would have been so fun. No, I just didn't expect Zombieland to be so fun, and then Bill Murray showed up, so that was a huge deal for me. I was just excited that to see Bill Murray make this cameo appearance. I had a great time, good time to be 17, to see that movie.
Yeah.
David was Titanic, so Jesus Christ. When he was 17, and he said that look at the price of magazines now in Europe. Yeah, that's another dying unfortunate piece of media that has no shot because you could just get the magazine on an iPad now and save the paper.
Yeah, I remember I used to actually, as a kid, my parents paid so that I could get WWE magazine.
I got WWE magazine and I got Game Informer because GameStop used to like throw that subscription in when you bought something, and I'd have that for years.
Yeah, and now you just Google it. You just like Google WWE news or games coming out 2025. That's all you do. It's unfortunately the physical side of things. Everything is so digital. Everything is moving into the streaming platforms, and that's why so many new movies every year they're released directly to streaming services. They're all Netflix films, Hulu films. Oh, this Prime movies like. That's just the way that things are going. And then we talked about it too, because I really want the Fear Street trilogy on physical media. The problem with it not going into theaters and being just a streaming service film, it will never get a physical release.
Yep. And I fucking hate that too, which drives me absolutely insane. I was a little worried because the movie F1 is produced by Apple, and they've put movies out and they haven't come to physical like Napoleon, and I'm like, F1 has to come to physical media. It's made for like physical media. It's beautiful, it looks beautiful, sounds amazing, and like that needs Dolby Vision and Dolby Atmos. But apparently, because Warner Brothers also produced it, it will come to physical media. But I heard that about Killers of the Flower Moon. So when something goes directly to streaming, it's just a nightmare for us.
Yeah, it's always concerning. That's why it's, I don't know, another reason why the physical media companies are charging so much because not everything does go physical.
Yep, and yeah, and they know that. Poppin' Fresh again. Thank you so much, buddy. John and Dennis, I bought the 50th anniversary Jaws popcorn bucket and Megan 2.0 bucket at AMC theaters last week. I saw those this week. The Megan one's ridiculous. That's awesome. Okay, guys, I'm off to work and we'll catch the show. Repeat. Your movie knowledge is staggering. Always learn a lot. Thank you, buddy. We try here. We try. We do put in the work, and I appreciate all the donations, man. Thank you so much. That's why we put in the work, though. We want to make sure we come out here and we're not stupid.
Yeah, no, really appreciate your support. Absolutely. Thank you so much. And like, we always try to say it. I feel like I say it 100 times a show. Definitely not experts, and our opinions are not gold, but we try to just, what we know, share, and, have a nice unbiased conversation about this stuff to hopefully help people learn a little bit, maybe even see some new movies they've never seen before.
Exactly. That's all we can do is spread the word about film, and hopefully, ultimate goal is to just get more film fans. Because if we can do that, I think we'll be on the right path. It's very difficult.
Yeah, I mean, listen, ultimate goal, get this channel big enough. We start our own physical media company.
That would be awesome. Like I hear things like out in the West Coast, like where I think it's a movie theater where they have it attached to a, like when you walk out, it's a physical media store right there. That's a genius idea because who's going to buy physical media than the people seeing the movies? So
Yeah.
that would be great. I always thought that. Oh yeah, real quick, John. Hope you two have a cinematography film. Okay, I'm out. Taco Bell time. Oh, I'm jealous. We should do that for Poppin' Fresh. Pick our top 10 best films for cinematography or like shot films. Maybe we'll do that for him next week. That'll be like the headline from that since he helped out so much today.
Yeah, no, absolutely, 100%. We can get a top 10 list on that.
Yeah, 100%. And enjoy that Taco Bell. They've never let me down. But I was 16 in 1995. Well, in 1995, he was 16. 95 was a great year in film. You could have saw Primal Fear that year. And Apollo 13.
There you go. What more do you need?
Not much more. Do you have time for one more short question?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, just making sure. I don't want to hold you up. Let's see. This is one from a few weeks ago because it's not Father's Day anymore, but I just figured we'll get to it now because Ben Rondo is a channel producer. What are your top 5 dads in movie history for Father's Day?
Well, I think our lists are different based on the conversation we had earlier. I went with dads who actually love their children.
Okay, so yeah, I went with one dad who I think he loves his son. That dad's Jack Torrance.
Yeah, I mean, he's a dad.
He's a father.
I will give him that. I don't know that he's a good dad.
Yeah, well, no, he's probably not. He did try and kill him and his mom.
He did. I put Brian Mills, so it's Liam Neeson from Taken.
Oh, that's a great call. He really would do anything for his daughter.
He did. He sure did. He went all the way to the other side of the world.
He really fucking did. Oh my god. And you know what? He had a particular set of skills. Am I crazy though? Every time I think of him, I always think of the Family Guy skit where when they call him and they kidnap Meg, and he's like, I don't have any skills, but what I do have is $5 and a Casio watch. You may have one. And then he hangs up and he's like, Lois, Meg's dead.
Dude, I think the same thing. There's so many Family Guy skits that, like, when I see the movie, that's all I think of.
That's all. Okay, so I'm not the only one. Martin Brody. That's a great dad. I actually had him on my list because of the scene with him and his son and the table.
There you go. All right. I did not actually have him. I am sorry. So now we both lost David as a friend today.
Yeah, David's always going to have Martin Brody at the top. He probably has him on the top of the list of the best movie cops.
That's fair.
Even though we don't really get to see him enforcing the law.
Yeah, he very rarely does.
Yeah, he's just a nice guy in town, the good sheriff.
I have a couple. I did put Denzel in John Q. John Quincy Archibald.
That's a great one that also made my list. I mean, who's willing to like literally sacrifice anything to get their son a heart transplant? I saw this in the movies, by the way. Didn't expect this kind of one. This is a blind buy that like saddened me.
Yeah, really good film though. And I mean, listen, he probably the most caring dad because he's willing to kill himself to do it.
I mean, that's the ultimate. Like, I'm willing to stake the ultimate sacrifice so my kid has a life, and he almost did if they didn't come in. And you know what? It all kind of worked out in the end for him. That the only thing is, it sets a bad example. We can't have every dad doing that.
You're probably not.
Yeah. Are you saying Bill? This is frailty. Are you saying that Bill Paxton didn't love his kids? I think he loved his kids, just in a very fucked up kind of way.
In his very own way.
His very own way. Definitely misled them. You know, I don't want to spoil that movie because that's got a cool twist that I think it's very underviewed.
Yeah.
But a great movie. On my list, I have as far as another one, just the movie Parenthood. Gil, played by Steve Martin. I always loved that movie. I thought he was a great dad. He's great
There you
dad
go.
and Cheaper by the Dozen too.
Yeah, he almost actually in Cheaper by the Dozen almost made my list. So that's I'm happy he made yours because I agree. Just another regular loved his kid's dad.
Isn't it ironic that he plays a great movie dad, Steve Martin, and he didn't become a father until he was in his 70s?
Well, I think it's ironic that anyone becomes a father in their 70s.
It's never a good decision for the kid, I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. You're gonna by the time the kid's legally able to drink, you're 90.
And you're dead.
Not the best choice for the child.
No, I mean, that's the thing with Al Pacino and De Niro having kids, and they were both, I think, 79 and 81, and it's like, that's crazy. You know you're never going to be there when they graduate high school. And if you are, by some miracle, what is your state?
Yeah, I mean, are they going to be there when they graduate elementary school?
That's a big one.
Another one I feel like doesn't get enough credit is Lawrence Fishburne's character Furious in Boys in the Hood.
That was my number one. Furious Styles.
Really?
Yeah, I love him. He is phenomenal. One of my favorite. I've always said that's one of the most. He should have won an Academy Award for that performance, Lawrence Fishburne, and he got completely overlooked. And I hate that because that's even his best performance.
Yeah, I love that movie as a whole. I love that movie so much. I've watched it so many times, but his character, he's so calm, he's so intelligent. He really does try to do everything he can to impart as much wisdom on his kid as possible. It just yeah, I'm happy he was number one on because he is I just absolutely loved that his performance. The whole movie itself is great. Everyone should see it, but I think his performance stands out.
Yeah, he's just such a strong like human being, and like with so much badness around him, he's still able to be strong. Has a good head on his shoulders, a good example for his son, and make sure that his son isn't going to go down the path that he easily could, and he has to be strong and be a good example when he could give up as well. What
Yeah.
about Ice Cube's dad in Friday? Oh, John Witherspoon is great in Friday.
Yeah, another great one too, for sure.
Loves his son. He's just that's a regular working class dad. That's a more normal dad compared to like Furious Styles. That's more of like what you'd expect. He's just a regular guy working every day, a little bit of a slob like myself, so I respect it. Mrs. Doubt, Robin Williams was on my list as Mrs. Doubtfire. I don't know if he was on yours.
That was actually, yep.
Now, here's the thing. Me and my wife just rewatched this. Saying my wife to you like you don't know who Faith is. Just for everybody else. You watch the movie as surprise. When you watch this movie as an adult, you realize Robin Williams is a great dad, but he's a fucking horrible husband, and the divorce is more than justified.
Well, the question is best dads, not husbands.
Yeah, like he was willing to do anything for his kids, but he's too immature of a father. Like as in general, he always wants to be the good guy, and he destroys the house, and he's always quitting his jobs. He's not a great husband, and you understand. And you and when you watch the movie, you think that what's his name is a villain, Pierce Brosnan, but he's a good guy too. He loves the kids. Like it's just that Robin Williams had to learn to grow up, and when you watch it, and then he does. It's in there, and he loves his kids so much that he was willing to dress up like an old lady.
He was going to do anything for the kids, not for the marriage.
Yeah. Would that movie get made today, you think, or no?
There'd be a lot of questions, who plays what role, and I think there's a lot.
He's our goddamn father too. Yeah, it's worst timing for that, right to the mother. Like just can't curse in front of the kids. They'll repeat it right back.
Yeah. So there's one more for me. Now, I didn't do these in order. Otherwise, if I did, Furious would obviously be number one. But I did also put Clark Griswold.
That's on my list. That was the last one I had left too.
I just feel like this poor guy, man, he does everything he can to be the best dad. He really does, and he just always makes a mess of it.
And it's his own fault. It's like his wife always points that out. She's like, "You set these expectations too high, and you can't, fulfill them." And of course, he just ends up like falling on his face flat and having a nervous breakdown at the end of all the
Yep.
movies.
Yep. So that's I put it, but again, his heart's in the right place. He really is trying to do everything he can. But I think that's why I put him too, because it's so realistic. Like I imagine there's so many dads in the world who genuinely want to do as much as they possibly can and just always do what he does and just fall flat on their face and can't pull it off.
Oh, that would be 100% me as a father. I wouldn't even attempt half the things he would do just because I know I would fail. Like,
Yeah.
hanging the Christmas lights alone is like a project and a half. I hang one row across my roof and I'm like, all right, well, that's enough. And this guy wants to be seen from space.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think he's great. But a good list. I think they were all good dads.
Yeah, except, Jack Torrance, maybe not, but how much of that is the hotel? Like, you really gotta.
That's fair. And he's just trying to write, all right? Leave the guy alone. He just wants to write a book.
Yeah, Shelley Duvall. I mean, she has a very annoying voice. I would probably get a little frustrated too.
But yeah, so that's that. I do unfortunately have to jump now, but good questions, guys. Keep them coming. Loved all of them. Love the top 10 lists and everything. I really think it makes the discussion interesting. Love hearing your feedback too. Even if we upset you sometimes, we do apologize.
Yeah, but I thank you to everybody. Yeah, Poppin' Fresh, like helping us out. Obviously everyone asking the questions. We're gonna do a cinematography question for him next week, and yeah, Dennis got to run out, and we'll take care of the giveaways now. So make sure you guys ask some questions for next week. If we didn't answer your question this week, maybe you came in late or something. That always goes on the list for next week. We don't have enough time. We try, but we have a limited amount.
Yeah, but thank you guys, and as always, I'll see you next week.
All right, Dennis, enjoy your day, buddy.
You too. Take care.
All right, guys. So yes, like I said, now we'll get into the giveaways, and we have a lot of giveaways this week. Let's I don't know even where to. He was a good dad at the beginning. Yeah, he was. The Hook's a good movie. I think Hook give it's not my favorite, but it does get a kind of a bad rep. So we're gonna screen share. I guess we'll do the digital code giveaway first. We'll do the normal one of that. Share this with you guys so you can see it. We'll shuffle the names around a little bit. Let's make sure you guys got it up here. Perfect, perfect, perfect. And now we'll spin the wheel. We'll spin this one 2 times, and then you'll have your choices of digital code. Oh, Fate's here, guys, unfortunately. Cheers, Dennis. Is what Shamrock said. Let's see who wins the first digital code giveaway. I'm just gonna be talking over it. Oh, looks like it's going to be Nocturnal, who long-time subscriber to the channel, and a celebration of the channel. That's perfect. Congratulations. We'll remove you. Spin this one again. And guys, when we get into the other giveaways, I'll go over all the rules of that. I know that not everybody who's in here is into this. So this might not be the most exciting part, but this is the business. Doing 4 giveaways today, 4 wheels. Who's going to be the other one? Looks like it's going to probably be either Nostalgia 1x1 or Scotty Guns. I think it's going to be Scotty. Yep, it is Scotty. And let me show you what the digital codes are. I believe these are all still available. Lady and the Tramp on there twice. Assassination Nation. Not the biggest list right at the moment, but all these are still available. So you can grab any of these since you guys are the digital code giveaway winners. And then we'll go back. We'll remove this from the stage because I guess we'll do the Jaws giveaway next, and then we'll do the Blu-rays at the end. Let's see. And then we'll share the next one. Members wheel, new wheel. Now, we'll do the Jaws giveaway next. All right. Let's make sure it's on the screen. You guys can see it. Now, winner of this gets a 4K Blu-ray of Jaws' 50th anniversary edition, which I have right here, all ready to go. Will be mailed out. All the giveaway stuff will be mailed out next week. So either next Monday or Tuesday when I have time to go to the post office after, we work everything out. Let's see who won Jaws. Them dude, 486. Congratulations. I'm just gonna take a picture of all this stuff, make sure I have it all. You know, I want to make sure I have everybody do this correct. All right. Congratulations, you have just won a 50th anniversary 4K Steelbook for Jaws from 1975, directed by Steven Spielberg. All right, let's do the next one. Next one will be the members wheel. So if you are a channel member on the producers or higher, each month we do a physical media giveaway as well. And let's see. Gotta share this screen. I think this one is this one. Yep. Nope, that's the blue way. Members wheel. So here's the members wheel. Let's spin this bad boy. All right. So spin around, spin around. Hopefully everybody is in here who knows about the giveaway. If not, you guys will see it on the replay. I'll explain exactly how you can reach out to me and everything. Looks like John Doe Juggalo is going to be this month's channel member giveaway winner. Congratulations, buddy. So John Doe Juggalo has a choice of physical media, which I have over here. Jeff's a working man, so I'm sure he's at work. Let me just make myself full screen here so I can show him everything that we got. So John Doe Juggalo, you have your choices of Weird, the Weird Al Yankovic story. Batman, Lego Batman animated film. You're a family guy, so I'm sure you might like that one. Pulp Fiction on 4K. The Ring. Now this is a Blu-ray Steelbook, not a 4K. Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure on 4K Blu-ray. 2012 on 4K. Color Out of Space on 4K. And then, of course, Crank on 4K Steelbook. So, John Doe Juggalo, you got your choice. And we do this every single month. I try and add new movies. So, if you're a channel member of producers or higher, you are on that magic wheel every single month. And now we got one more. We're going to spin this wheel 4 times. And I'm going to explain this one because this one's a little bit harder compared to the rest as far as the wheels go. So I'll explain this one a little bit more detail. Let me just make sure I get it on here. Right here. So this is going to be the Blu-ray reel. So the way this is going to work is I'm going to spin this 4 times. Let me see if I have the... I gotta add some PDFs so you guys know what's in here. Oops, hit the wrong button. Sorry. It's a little bit of a kind of an annoying thing to get all this up. I thought I downloaded them all. Give me 1 second, folks. Sorry about this. It's processing. All right, here we go. So you'll have your choices as we spin the wheel. The first names that it lands on will have their choices of A, B, C, or D. Which, there you go. So just keep your eyes on that, A, B, C, or D. I'll, of course, send them to you if you are a winner. The first name it lands on, they have their choices of A, B, C, or D. The second name it lands on, they have their choices of the 3 that are left over. The third name that it lands on, they have a choice of the 2 that are left over. And then the fourth and final name won't have a choice. It'll be whatever is left over from there. So we'll spin the wheel and see who our 4 winners are. Rogue One, who is a channel member, 2006. So you'll have your choice of all 4, and you'll be the first one to pick. If you're here and you want to jump in, that actually would be great, so we can start that ball rolling. But if not, it's cool. We're going to remove your name. You're not going to be involved with the second spin. Spin it again. All right. Second wheel spin is going to be Nostalgia 1x1. So you have your choices of what other three options Rogue One doesn't pick. And this is a great question. Been out of the loop for the past 2 years on Criterion. What do you recommend to pick up on the sale? Thanks. Buddy, if you're going to be picking up anything, I think Thief is a great one from this year. Right now coming out is Barry Lyndon. Sorcerer is a phenomenal film on 4K Blu-ray. I recommend. I just reviewed that last week. Thelma and Louise is a great one on 4K from Criterion. I highly recommend. I don't know if you've gotten Malcolm X or Wall-E. Those are great 4Ks from them as well. A lot of Guillermo del Toro, Pinocchio, their version of what was that? Which other versions do they have? Their version of Kronos, I think, is a much better version as well. Same thing. Basically, any Guillermo del Toro version, if it's in the Criterion collection, it's got to spin this wheel. We're going to remove this. This is going to be wheel spin number 3. Those are always good ones. What else? Oh, Lone Star is a great one. That's a very underseen film that I can highly recommend. Seven Samurai also got an update. I'll take A, please. All right, perfect. A's off the board. So Nostalgia 1x1. You have your choice of B, C, or D. The Physical Media Collector from Blue. You have your choice of whatever Nostalgia 1x1 doesn't want, and A will be off the board, so it'll be B, C, or D for you as well. So that's 3 of them. And now we'll do the final one, and there won't be a choice on this one. This will be just the very last one. You'll get whatever option isn't taken. So Physical Media by Blue. And let's see who the final one is. Oh, it's close. It's close. It's close. Oh, what are we going to get? Oh, my God. This one's ridiculous. Ryan Hill, you are the 4th winner, and whatever ones they don't want left. So you will be the 4th and final one. I have one person who's already chose. That's Rogue One, but everybody else, I'm just going to write these down, make sure that I have them in here. Is Nostalgia 1x1 in here? Oh. I mailed most of the collection. Sorry, John. You didn't pick yet, so you can actually, what's it called? You'll get your choice of whatever. If you don't want B, C, or D, you'll have your choice of that. So, A is the only one that's off the board. I'll show you it right now. This is the only one that's gone. So you'll have your choices of B is right here. C, well, that's D, and C. Oh, they're the same ones. What the fuck? I don't understand how that even happened. So there is another pile that's not in here. I got to show you guys. Hold on. Let me get the image files because that is weird. I don't understand how that even happens. This is what happens when it's just me sometimes. Oh, found him. So which one do we have on there that's missing? Let's see. So that one, and then you took A. So which one don't we have? Is it this one? I'm sorry. And we'll add them up on here. Image files. Is that one of them? It's the one McKinn, right? So you'll have your choice of the one McKinn as well. I'm sorry. He's a great mate. So he's in the same areas as the collection. It's pretty early out here still. Really? Well, I appreciate you guys tuning in. I know this isn't the most exciting part for the giveaway, but now that we know who the winners are, we got Nosferatu, we got Nostalgia 1x1, Rogue One 677, Physical Media Collector. So he's a great mate. He's a good guy. So we got a couple people on here who have won. And that's awesome. So, you guys will reach out to me at my email address, letstalkentmt@gmail.com, Instagram, Facebook, the artist formerly known as Twitter. I would prefer the email just to keep things a little bit more organized. If you can't, I understand. I want someone else to have it. Oh, so you want me to pick somebody else because you don't want it nostalgia one by one? Okay, I could do that. I'll spin it one more time then. That's fair. We'll take you off if you don't want. I feel bad though. Oh, no problem. I just feel better you won. But Dark Room Reviews, I'm sure he'll be happy. He's a great guy, great YouTube channel you guys should be subscribed to too. So he'll get his choice of whatever's left over. So we'll just bump it up because he's the last winner. So Nostalgia by Blue, Physical Media by Blue will be one of the other ones. And then I'll have to wait on the last one, which is, I believe, Ryan Hill, if I'm correct, right? Or Ryan Hill won a digital code giveaway. But yeah, if you want that, guys, make sure you reach out to me so I can let you guys know what's left if you're the lucky winners. Dark Room Reviews will be the one. No, Dark Room is great. He's a great guy. So everyone who won, congratulations them, dude. Make sure you reach out to me for the Jaws giveaway. Everybody else, make sure you're reaching out to me for whatever you want. Thanks for recommendation. Watch Del Toro's Pinocchio in theaters, and I loved it. Fantastic. It looks like I have some shopping to do. Yeah, this is the time of the year to do it. I only bought 2 so far. Luckily, we have until the 27th, so I can fill my wallet back up and get a couple more, because there's a couple more things I want to like directors I want to clean up and maybe upgrade. Like I have Mulholland Drive on Blu-ray, but I would like the 4K from Criterion just to compare that, just because Mulholland Drive is one of my favorite films. But those aren't necessary. I got the 2 that I really wanted to grab in the sale, and that's all that really mattered. But if I have some extra money, I can go crazy. So again, guys, thank you all so much. Rogue One, obviously I'll send you everybody else, make sure you reach out to me and let me know what you want, where you want me to send the stuff. If you want the digital code giveaway, email me as well. Email is best. I'll say it again. Let's talk entmt@gmail.com. I'll type it actually in the chat just so that everyone can see it, or if it's in the description of all the videos. Let's talk entmt@gmail.com. So it's Instagram, Facebook, the artist formerly known as Twitter. It's just those ones I don't check as much as I check my emails. The emails are always the best. Plus I'm a good how much I've gotten on Blu-ray, so I don't mind. I appreciate it, buddy. You're a good person. It's rare in the world, and I really appreciate you doing that nostalgia one by one. And congratulations to all the giveaway winners. Again, I have pictures, so if you need to look at them when you're picking, I will just email them to you, and I'll tell you which one piles are left. So make sure you guys let me know what exactly you are interested in so I can send them to you, where to send them to, that whole thing. You got some time. We got a week. I'm not going to be mailing these out till next Monday or Tuesday. So, just we'll handle it from them, but just make sure you guys let me know where to send everything to so I can do that. And just, by the way, this is Mr. Smelly Potato. Most of the movies that are being given away today are his films. He donated them to the channel and for this giveaway. So Mr. Smelly Potato, our channel bankroll member, most of those movies are his films. He donated them to the channel. People, and I want to thank everyone. Thanks for the morning. No problem. I want to thank everybody who donates to the channel for giveaways like this. I actually just got a box of DVDs. I'm going to go through, and I don't know if anyone's really interested in DVDs or not, but a guy I work with in my regular Joe job, he just figured, hey, it's good for the channel, to donate. I like to give stuff away. So it's always cool, help other people, physical media collectors. I'm not one to sell. I'll just give it away. But, that's why Mr. Smelly Potato, he's a great guy donating stuff as well. And I just thank you so much, everyone who's donated stuff to the channel. It truly does mean a lot. Just want this channel to be someplace we all can talk movies and physical media. That's all this is, and that's how we got to 5,000 subscribers and how we do giveaways like this. I appreciate it. I appreciate everyone's patience with me. This really is a one-man show. Luckily, I got Dennis helping me out now. David, aka Shamrock Balls, doing the Let's Talk Movies podcast with me, and he does a lot of heavy lifting on that show. I don't want to ever sell that short. That show's really I feel like I'm more of the co-host on that. It's on this channel, but he's the leader of that program. He's the guy who makes our schedule. He's the one that takes all the notes and leads the show. Without all their help and everybody who's donated to the channel members, I just thank you guys all so much. I just want to make sure I thank you all, because I really, truly do appreciate it. And I'm, not the most emotional guy, so sometimes it feels it's hard for me to express how happy and thankful I am. I just want to make sure you guys all know that, because, I wouldn't do this if I didn't love it and if I didn't love you guys. So thank you guys all so much. I'm going to get out of here today. Remember to reach out to me if you are the giveaway winners, and we'll be seeing you